Some movies hold a special place in our hearts. Some movies have that same feel that food does, comfort food. You watch the movie, you grab your pillow, life is good. But then sometimes Hollywood takes those movies, reboots them, and you know what happens to you when they do that? You get sad. So here's my pick for 5 movies that should never, ever be remade. Ain't that right, Walter? Hello, my darlings. Welcome to another episode of Nerd News with your host, Chris Chavis. And as you can tell, I'm in a new spot yet again. So we are fully moved into our apartment. I mean, we're good. We're unloading boxes. We're still setting things up. We are in the process of just getting this place completely unpacked. And as we're doing that, I'm trying to figure out where the best place to record these episodes are. And so today, this is where I've landed. I've landed right under Walter. That's my boy. So we've been watching a lot of movies as we're unpacking, and this topic popped in my brain. We're watching Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, and I was like, man, I love these movies. I would hate if they rebooted it. Bing! And that's where the idea popped in my head. So we're going to talk about 5 movies that should never be rebooted. Now, I'm going to do these in no particular order, but there is one movie on this list that is on my top 5 movies of all time. So I mean, I'll tell you when we're there. So we're gonna start this list off with a bang, and by a bang I mean we're gonna go back in the time. That's right, Back to the Future. Let's get it. So Back to the Future, it's about a 17-year-old high school kid who goes back in time in a flying DeLorean. If you just told me that was the premise of the movie and I've never seen it, I'd be like, all right, cool. What's a DeLorean? Because no one really knows what a DeLorean is nowadays, unless you're born in the 80s like I am. But anyways, this movie is so classic. I think it's up there, in my opinion, with the Indiana Joneses. I mean, it has Michael J. Fox, it has Christopher Lloyd. I mean, those two together work so well off of each other, and it bothers me that they couldn't do any other movies past that. But this movie captures so much of the imagination. I mean, they predict what the future would be like. Now, they were kind of off with flying cars. I mean, imagine if a Tesla had a flying car right now. If you ran out of gas, you're toast. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But this movie has so many good one-liners. The score. So a movie is really, really good that it like hits a nerve when the score barely plays. You're like, oh, Back to the Future. I mean, it's like with Jurassic Park or Star Wars. You hear that theme and you're like, oh, I know what movie that's from. It's that familiarity with this movie that kind of hooks your soul. I mean, it's a classic underdog story if you think about it. And the neat thing about this movie is it's a really funny idea to be like, if I went back in time and saw my parents, for the first time meeting, and I have to make sure, ensure that this happens right there. That is a whole world of possibilities for a writer. There's so much you can do there. Very smart script. And I still think Back to the Future 2 is the best script I think ever written, because it intertwines absolutely seamlessly to the first movie, and it's just a fun movie. There is no third movie, so we're not even talking about it. Now, if they rebooted this movie, I think one thing they would do that would totally ruin it was they would spend so much time on like the future, or so much time with the action, that it'd be like Michael Bay meets Guy Ritchie. Yeah, I think that's what it would be like. Random explosions for things in the future, and really quick jump shots that, Guy Ritchie does. I mean, the only thing I could see is there was a deep fake video of Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. as Doc and Marty. Just based off that deep fake video, that would be really cool. But just as like a little side thing, like a little nod to it, but not like a full-blown like reboot. I'd be okay with that, as long as it wasn't a reboot. But Back to the Future, it's such a nostalgic, just soul food kind of film that it would make me angry. It'd probably make you angry, right? So leave Back to the Future alone, Hollywood. Just leave it alone. So now let's move on to the second movie on this list. And the only way I can describe this movie without giving the title away is this. Yeah, that's right. The Sandlot Baby. Now, the Sandlot revolves around a family who moves into a new town, and Smalls, the main character in the movie, he is just trying to fit in, man. He's trying to fit in. He loves baseball. He's a complete dork. But you know what? He finds friends. I don't care how many times they've seen that movie. Everyone wants Benny the Jet Rodriguez as a friend. Now, this movie works on so many different levels because it is grounded in reality. It's about boys just being boys getting into mischief. They're trying to resolve the situation by fixing it by means that only a boy brain can, by all kind of wacky devices. And it also has that really good message of friendship and father and son and family, and it's just a feel-good movie where you literally have a smile on your face from opening credits to end credits. Now, if they rebooted this movie, it would be horrible because they would probably cash in on the success of Stranger Things. They would try to find a group of kids like that and just kind of fit them in, and they would focus so much on the gadgets and them trying to get the ball, or they would probably change it and be like, hey, my football or ultimate frisbee got tossed over there, let's find a way to get it. I don't know, the kids would use a drone or get like P. Diddy or something to come and get it. It'd just be horrible. I mean, a movie like that set in this time period wouldn't work because we have all this technology and equipment and we just get the ball, no problem. And let's face it, we all wanted to try to do the whole Wendy Peppercorn fake drowning thing. I know I did when I was a kid, but it didn't work because, well, one, I was raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and two, there's sand, there's no water. So I just fall in sand. No one likes it. It's coarse and it's rough and it gets everywhere. You get that reference if you're a nerd like me. So don't touch the Sandlot, please. The great Bambino will come back and he will hit you with the baseball bat, Hollywood. No, not like the wimpy deer. Remember I said there was a movie on this list that is one of my favorite movies of all time? It's this one, The Goonies. And The Goonies revolves around a group of families, a group of friends that live in the same community who they're about to lose that community because it's going to be demolished. So the main character, Mikey, and his group, the Goonies, they set out to find the treasure of One-Eyed Willie so that they can use, that's right, the treasure to save the town. I mean, come on, if I said the Truffle Shuffle, immediately you think of Chuck. Or if I say Troy's Bucket, then you'll hear the line, this is our time down here. It's all gonna go away the minute we write up Troy's Bucket. I can recite the movie if you want. Just let me know. But this movie works on so many different levels. I mean, the adventure, pirates, I mean, what boy doesn't grow up not wanting to find buried treasure? I mean, it's amazing. And the Fratellis are just hilarious. I love when the brothers fight. The mom is hilarious, smacking them, throwing pizza at them. Ugh, it's just brilliant writing. And I think this would definitely, if they rebooted it, would definitely play more off the Stranger Things. And whoever would reboot it would spend a lot of time with the pirates and like the adventure of trying to find it. And I think they would dig themselves, pun intended, they would dig themselves a deep hole trying to just spend a lot of time on that and not really focusing on the main picture, which is the theme of the movie, family and friendship, or gold, or Baby Ruth for that matter. But The Goonies is just, oh gosh, I remember when I first saw the movie, I couldn't stop laughing. One scene specifically, I just gotta tell you, remember when they dropped the tiny statue of David? You know, it went from normal to whoop. Goonies never say die. It's true. All right, number 4 on this list, we're gonna move on to a story that never ends. That's right, the Neverending Story. Now, the Neverending Story follows a young boy who is just troubled and having a rough time, and he just focuses in on this book and he just gets invested in the world so much that he actually becomes a part of it. Now, the Neverending Story is such a fantasy-based film, but there are so many human elements to it. The fantasy aspect of it is what catches you. I mean, for a good example, Falcor. I mean, who doesn't want to like have Falcor lay down and you just do like a belly flop on him and just roll around like a cat, like this. I don't know what this was. A lot of the characters are memorable. The rock monster who eats, well, rocks. Snail, I mean, even the Nothing. Nothing did terrify me as a kid because, well, it was darn creepy. Now, I think if they rebooted this, I know they would spend a lot of time on visuals, which I actually wouldn't mind. That would be kind of neat to see the Neverending Story with up to visuals. But something about the way that the movie looked when it came out, like in what, 1984. When the movie came out in 1984, it just had that look that like you were reading a book. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it was because of the set pieces, but it's just the older grain, the actual film just made it seem like something more, what's that word I'm looking for? More dreamy, like a dream state. The only way that I would get on with the reboot is if they did a sequel or prequel. I'd be okay with that because it'd be something that kind of bleeds into the Neverending Story that we know and love. And if they did that, Guillermo del Toro is the obvious choice. Duh, it's fantasy. The man knows fantasy. But Hollywood, please don't reboot this. Otherwise, I'll eat you like the rock monster eat rocks. And last but not least, we're going to move on to number 5 on the list, and that of The Adventures of Westley and Buttercup. That's right, The Princess Bride. Now, The Princess Bride revolves around a young boy who is sick. His grandfather comes over, reads him a book, and the boy, yet again, just dives into that book, and he starts to really enjoy it. Now, you'll know this premise if you saw Deadpool 2, the G-rated version. Now, if you've seen Deadpool 2, they spoofed this idea where they had Deadpool read to Fred Savage the same way that the grandfather read to him in the movie. Now, this movie is very lighthearted. It has a couple of dark moments, not as dark as like the Neverending Story, but it has those one-liners like, you know, inconceivable and as you wish. If I was close to a hill, it would cut to me rolling down a hill, but there's not one next to me, so I'm sorry. The movie also has a giant, well, one giant, his name was Andre. And of course, you know, if they rebooted this movie, they could not replicate the line that you know the line I'm gonna say. I am Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die. If they rebooted that movie, you know that Antonio Banderas would be the actor to portray Inigo Montoya. And also, if they rebooted this movie, they would lose that, like, playfulness that The Princess Bride had. It had the fantasy element of the princess and you know, the man saving the princess and all these creatures, and you know, it's just, it had this book feel to it, just like Neverending Story did, but it was very playful. It never really took itself too seriously. And I think if they rebooted it, they would take themselves way too seriously. But Princess Bride, it's inconceivable if you're going to make a reboot on this. It's inconceivable. All right, guys, that's it. Those were 5 movies that should never be remade. If I missed a film on this list that is your soul food movie, your comfort food movie, let me know in the comments below, because I want to know. And also, if you guys have an idea for a topic that you want me to cover on an episode, let me know. I want to do an episode tailored off of your comments and your ideas. So keep them flowing, guys. I read them. And thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate it. And thank you for putting up with the different setups throughout the last couple of days. It might change again next week. I don't know. It just depends on how things go, the unpacking game. And until next time, guys, do never call me chicken. I know who the great Bambino is. Poor Atreyu. As you wish. And oh my gosh. The Goonies never say die. Poetry.